Welcome to the hardest working committee in the Nevada State Legislature, the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assemblyman Carter.
Present.
Assemblyman DeLong.
Present.
Assemblyman De Silva.
Here.
Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblywoman Gonzalez.
Here.
Assemblyman Gurr. Assemblyman Hibbets. Assemblyman Koenig.
Here.
Assemblyman MacArthur.
Here.
Assemblyman Wynn.
Here.
Assemblywoman Taylor.
Present.
Assemblywoman Thomas.
Here.
Chair Torres.
Here.
Welcome to the audience here in Carson City, those joining us in Las Vegas, and those listening over the internet. Just a couple housekeeping items. Please remember to silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card to the committee secretary. For those joining online, please be sure to mute your microphone when you are not speaking to minimize any background noise. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name, spell your name, and state your affiliation, if any, for the record. Then turn the microphone off each time you are done speaking. Handouts should have already been provided to the committee staff. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we do not agree with another person's position. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention, especially with the work session this long. Many of us will be looking at those documents, getting ready to see what is review the bills that we are moving out of the committee. Public comment will be taken at the end of the meeting. Each person will be limited to 2 minutes. In addition, the public may submit written testimony to the committee up to 24 hours after the hearing. We are going to be starting with our work session first today. Today we'll conduct a work session and take action on measures that the committee has heard in previous meetings. It is not customary for the committee to take testimony or otherwise rehear the bills during a work session. However, I may invite a witness to come forward for clarification or questions during consideration of a measure. I will let the committee know that we are going to go ahead and pull 2 bills from the work session at this time. So we're going to pull SB 272 and SB 363. So once again, that's SB 272 and SB 363. Yes, they're pulled for right now. We'll roll them. And we're also going to go ahead and pull SB 299. And then we're going to go ahead and start with SB 82.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 82 makes various changes to the requirements for the utilization of apprentices on public works, including expanding the circumstances under which a person is treated as an apprentice, eliminating the threshold number of workers for the applicability of certain requirements to use apprentices, clarifying that the requirements for employing apprentices are applied on the basis of public works performed during a calendar year instead of on a per public work basis, requiring contractors or subcontractors to maintain and provide to the Labor Commissioner any supporting documentation that demonstrates a good faith effort to employ one or more apprentices for a certain percentage of the total hours performed on a public work, and requiring a contractor or subcontractor beginning on or before February 15th, 2025 and every year thereafter to submit an annual report to the Labor Commissioner regarding the employment of apprentices. The bill creates a penalty schedule for violations of certain provisions relating to the requirements for a contractor or subcontractor to employ one or more apprentices for a certain percentage of the total hours performed on a public work, and there is an amendment provided by the bill sponsor subsequent to the bill hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, members, any questions? At this time, I entertain a motion to amend and do pass SB 82. I have the motion from Vice Chair Duran, and I have the second from Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Members, any discussion? Doesn't appear that there is any. At this time, we'll vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. This motion does carry. And I will assign the floor statement to Assemblyman Carter.
Thank you.
And I will thank the bill sponsor, too, for working with a lot of different stakeholders to bring that to a spot we were comfortable with it. Next, we'll take a look at SB 92.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 92 creates requirements for the licensing and regulation of sidewalk food vendors by the governing body of a county whose population is 100,000 or more, currently Clark and Washoe counties, or a city and a county whose population is 100,000 or more. The bill also requires a local board of health to establish a process for a person to apply for a permit, license, or other authorization from the local board of health to operate as a sidewalk vendor. Finally, the bill creates the 9-member task force on safe sidewalk vending in the office of the Secretary of State and authorizes the Secretary of State to establish an advisory board to support the activities of the task force. The task force must review existing laws and recommend approaches to improve state and local laws governing sidewalk vending. There is also an attached mock-up, and there is an additional amendment on page 4 of the mock-up. There is also one thing that's not included in the mock-up, but it is adding the word exclusively at line 15 on page 4, so right in front of residential use, so it would say for exclusively residential use. Thank you.
Members, are there any questions? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass SB 92. I have the motion from Assemblyman De Silva, and I have a second. I have a second from Assemblyman Gonzalez. Members, any discussion? I just want to thank all the stakeholders for coming together so that we could find a compromise. That took, it was a lot of work for a lot of different groups, and so I appreciate both law enforcement, the counties, the local governments, and of course the industry and the casinos for coming to the table so that we could have a healthy discussion for that piece of legislation. At this time, we'll take a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. This motion does carry. And I will assign the floor statement to myself. We'll go ahead and go next with SB 105.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 105 makes the Department of Corrections subject to the Nevada Administrative Procedure Act for the purposes of adopting regulations related to fiscal policy in correspondence and visitation with inmates. There are no amendments for this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any discussion? At this time, I will entertain a motion, or I guess any questions. I don't believe there's any questions. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to do pass SB 105. I have the motion from Assemblyman Carter, and I have the second from Assemblyman Taylor. Members, any discussion? We'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This motion does carry. And I will assign the floor statement to Assemblywoman Gonzalez. We'll go next with SB 155.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 155 authorizes homeless persons who commit certain misdemeanor offenses to be assigned to diversionary and specialty court programs. A court that assigns a homeless person to complete such a program of treatment may waive or reduce any fine, administrative assessment, or fee that would otherwise be imposed upon the homeless person for committing such an offense. See attached amendment provided subsequent to the bill hearing. Additionally, there is a conceptual amendment to remove nighttime from lines 2 and 4 on page 4 of the bill. Thank you.
Members, any questions? At this time, I will entertain a motion to amend and do pass SB 155. I have the motion from Vice Chair Duran, and I have the second from Assemblyman Thomas. Members, any discussion? We'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. This motion does carry. And I will assign the floor statement to Assemblyman Thomas. Thank you, Chair. We will go next with SB 208.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 208 requires the governing body of a county or city to enact an ordinance that regulates battery-charged fences. The bill prohibits the ordinance from requiring a permit for the installation or use of a battery-charged fence that is in addition to an alarm system permit issued by the county or city, imposing installation or operational requirements for a battery-charged fence that are inconsistent with the standards set forth by the International Electrotechnical Commission, or prohibiting the installation or use of a battery-charged fence. And attached to the work session document is the conceptual amendment that was proposed subsequent to the hearing to address concerns raised in the hearing. Thank you.
Members, are there any questions? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass SB 208. I have the motion from Assemblyman Taylor. Do I have a second? I have the second from Vice Chair Duran. All in favor, please. Members, any questions or discussion? Just whichever you feel like today. We'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. This motion does carry. And I'll assign the floor statement to Assemblyman DeLong. We'll go next to SB 331.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 331 requires emergency management plans prepared by the governor or adopted by a political subdivision or local organization for emergency management to designate at least one shelter to accommodate persons with pets and, to the extent practicable, include provisions for the evacuation, transport, and shelter of persons with pets. There is one proposed conceptual amendment to add "to the extent practicable" before "designate" as shown on the work session document. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? At this time, I'll entertain a motion. I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass SB 331. I have the motion from Assemblywoman Nguyen. Do I have a second? I have the second from Vice Chair Taylor. Sorry, from Assemblywoman Taylor. She got a promotion in GA today. She's Vice Chair in Education. Members, any discussion? All right, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. This motion does carry. And I'll go ahead and sign the floor statement. Let's go ahead and do that. I like Assemblywoman Carter's recommendation. We're going to assign the floor statement to Assemblywoman MacArthur. You're welcome. All right, let's go ahead and, at this time, we're going to go ahead and consider SB 388.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 388 addresses collective bargaining for certain groups of employees in the classified service of the executive branch of state government. Specifically, the bill requires the subjects of such bargaining to include whether the payment of the employee's portion of the contributions to the public employees retirement system must be made in lieu of equivalent basic salary increases or cost of living increases or both, or counterbalanced by equivalent reductions in the employees' salaries. There are no amendments for this measure.
Members, are there any questions? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to do pass SB 388. I have the motion from Assemblywoman Taylor, and I have the second from Assemblywoman Nguyen. Members, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Nay. Can I just have the nays raise their hands? Assemblywoman MacArthur, Assemblywoman Hibbets, Assemblywoman Gurr, and Assemblywoman DeLong. And I apologize, Assemblywoman Koenig as well. At this time, I will go ahead and assign the floor statement to Assemblywoman De Silva. Next, we'll consider SB 391.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 391 prohibits a county, a city, and an unincorporated town from sounding a siren bell or alarm for any purpose other than alerting persons to an emergency, testing the siren bell or alarm at reasonable time intervals of not more than once every 6 months, or celebrating or recognizing a legal holiday. The bill further authorizes the Attorney General to bring a civil action to collect a monetary penalty of up to $50,000 from a county, city, or unincorporated town for each violation. Finally, the bill prohibits a county, city, or unincorporated town from taking adverse employment action against an employee for reporting such a violation to the Attorney General or law enforcement. There are no amendments for this measure.
Thank you, members. Any discussion or any questions? I'll go to discussion. I know I said discussion, but I meant questions. But we'll go to discussion after I take a vote on the bill. A motion. We have all of us have coffee today, but I clearly have not had any of mine. It's still full, so maybe I'll drink a little bit faster. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to do pass on SB 391. I have the motion from Assemblywoman Taylor. Do I have a second? I have a second from Vice Chair Duran. Members, any discussion? Assemblywoman Koenig.
So I will be voting yes on this, knowing that it will get rid of the sunset whistle that I feel is inappropriate, but at the same time, as is, it will also get rid of the Fallon noon whistle, which pains my soul. But I mean, we had 3 or 4 amendments, and all of them have kind of fallen through, and I think we're still working on one that I think probably should be able to solve the problem. But even though it's not there yet, I have faith that we can still save it. So.
Thank you, members. Any further discussion? And just to let the committee know, I think that the discussion with the bill sponsor, obviously we have a deadline today, and so we do have to move bills out of committee. Otherwise, we have two options: either bill dies or the bill continues to live in this legislative process. And so, from my conversations with the sponsor, and I think we're almost there. We just need a little bit more time. We're looking at a possible appeals process if it is necessary for an emergency management system, and I'm committed, myself as chair, to working with the community from Fallon. And of course, their representative on this committee, Assemblyman Koenig, to make sure that we find a healthy compromise. So we will get there. So any further discussion? All right, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. I have the nay from Assemblyman DeLong and Assemblyman MacArthur. Yeah. And I will go ahead and assign this floor statement to Assemblyman Taylor. And right now, I'm going to go ahead and pull SB 434 at this time, but for further consideration later on today. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and close the work session for right now. Oh, we do have a bill hearing today, so we will go ahead and go on to that. One minute recess. The Assembly Committee on Government Affairs will reconvene. At this time, we'll go ahead and reopen our work session. And at this time, we're going to consider SB 272.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 272 requires each state agency or local government to, on or before September 1st of each year, post in a conspicuous place on its website the total number of purchasing contracts, performance contracts, and contracts for public works awarded by the state agency or local government during the immediately preceding fiscal year. The total dollar amount of all such contracts awarded by the state agency or local government during the immediately preceding fiscal year, the total number of contracts awarded by the state agency or local government during the immediately preceding fiscal year to minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and LGBTQ-owned businesses, and the total dollar amount of all such contracts awarded by the state agency or local government during the immediately preceding fiscal year to minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and LGBTQ-owned businesses. There are two conceptual amendments that are proposed, and one is to add veteran-owned businesses to the list of entities that must be included in the reporting requirements found in subsection 1C and 1D of sections 1, 2, 3, and 4, and to amend Section 5 to delay the effective date by 1 year from July 1, 2023 to July 1, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any discussion or any questions? It doesn't appear there's any questions at this time. I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass SB 272. I have the motion from Assemblywoman Gonzalez, and I have the second from Vice Chair Duran. Members, any discussion? I don't see any, so we'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Can I have the nays raise their hands? Assemblyman MacArthur, Assemblyman Koenig, Assemblyman Hibbets, Assemblyman Gurr, and Assemblyman DeLong. And at this time, this motion does carry. I will assign the floor statement to Assemblywoman Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And at this time, this will conclude our work session for today. If there are bills on the work session, we will reopen our work session probably this afternoon. So just a timeline, obviously it's deadline day, so our committee is going to meet. We're going to hear one more bill, and then we will have another work session this afternoon. Thank you. At this time, we'll close our work session and we will open the hearing on SB 5. And SB 5 authorizes the Division of Emergency Management in the Office of the Military to use money for the Emergency Assistance Account for certain additional purposes. When you're ready, you may begin.
Good morning, Chairperson, committee members, and guests. For the record, Jared Franco, Chief Financial Officer from the Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. I am here to testify in support of Senate Bill 5. The Emergency Assistance Account was created during the 1997 legislative session as a sub-account within the Disaster Relief Account, and was subsequently incorporated into laws, Nevada Revised Statute, Chapter 414.135. In addition, regulations were developed and adopted into Nevada Administrative Code, Chapter 414. NRS 414 establishes the Division of Emergency Management and provides DEM with the authority to administer the EAA. The funds in this account are to be used to provide supplemental emergency assistance to state and local governments that are severely and adversely affected by natural, technological, or man-made disasters. Additionally, these funds are available to assist DEM with the administrative costs associated with managing an emergency or disaster. This bill request will clean up the language to ensure there is no confusion on the authority of the budget account, so the appointed authority of DEM with the communication of the governor's office has the rightful authority to be able to cover any expenditures incurred pre, during, or post-emergency or disaster without need for a declaration or emergency. Many incidents smaller than a declared incident require ability of the division to use the EAA. With that, I'll entertain any questions.
Well, that was one of the longest presentations we have heard in this committee this week, actually. At this time, members, any questions? Assemblyman Thomas.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the brief presentation. Appreciate it. My question has to do with the division, regardless of whether or not there's an emergency or disaster. Could you give me an example of what that would entail?
Thank you for your question. Through you, Madam Chair.
Feel free to go directly to the members.
Thank you, ma'am. So it's not meaning in regardless of emergency or disaster, it's regardless of a declaration of an emergency or disaster. So pre-declaration, during a declaration, or post-declaration, there was always costs incurred. The cleanup of this language will allow us to spend that money without the needed authority of a declaration.
Thank you. And I did actually have one question myself. I was just wondering if you could give an example of when this may have been helpful in the past.
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Actually, right now as we speak, we're currently in a presidential declaration for the floods that happened in March. And we have counties ramping up due to the rising flood levels, or the river levels happening in Lyon and Douglas County. So right now we will be incurring costs trying to help those counties with safety equipment, preventative flood measures, things like that.
Thank you. Members, any additional questions? Vice Chair Duran.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. As well, is this going to, as well with federal emergencies, this is going to be your discretion to join in with that, or is it additional monies, or are you going to take the federal money cost first?
Thank you for your question, Vice Chair. So federal monies don't come into effect unless we have a presidential declaration. And like I stated, some incidents that we do experience don't rise to the level of a presidential declaration. So this account will assist in the monies that will need to be spent to provide life safety measures.
Thank you. Members, any additional questions? I just wanted to make a quick comment before you left the table and say that your tie is phenomenal. It's very clear that the Wolf Pack is the way to go, and it's also graduation week, so go Pack. Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and move into anyone wishing to testify in support of SB 5. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in support of SB 5? I don't believe I see any. BPS, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in support of SB 5?
Chair, the line is open and working, but there are no callers choosing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and move into opposition. Is there anyone wishing to testify in opposition to SB 5? I don't see anyone here in Carson City. BPS, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in opposition to SB 5?
Chair, there are no callers choosing to provide opposition testimony at this time.
At this time, we'll go ahead and go into neutral. Is there anyone wishing to testify in neutral to SB 5? I don't see any here in Carson City. BPS, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in neutral to SB 5?
Chair, there are no callers choosing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you. Are there any closing remarks for that very long presentation?
No, Madam Chair. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and close the hearing on SB 5. And as a note to committee members, the Speaker has waived the 24-hour rule, which means that we can hear a bill and move the bill the same day. SB 5 is not exempt, which means that it is subject to the standard timeline for moving legislation. So at this time, we are going to go ahead and reopen our work session and move on to a work session for SB 5. I don't think there's any need to rehear the bill. I'll go ahead and turn it over to our policy analyst, Ms. Rudy.
Thank you, Chair Torres. This is Jennifer Rudy, Committee Policy Analyst. You actually just heard the bill, and it expands the purposes for which money in the emergency assistance account may be used by authorizing the division to use money in the account to pay the actual expenses incurred by the division for the purpose of emergency management, regardless of whether the governor or the legislature proclaims that an emergency or disaster exists. Thank you.
Members, are there any questions? I don't see any questions, so I will entertain the motion. I have the motion from Assemblyman Nguyen to do pass. I have the second from Assemblyman DeLong. Members, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. This motion does carry. And I will assign the floor statement to Assemblyman Nguyen. Thank you, Chair. At this time, our committee is going to go ahead and move into recess.